Welcome, welcome. First of all, I just want to say thanks for the majority of y'all like getting here like on time. And by on time, I mean like 15 minutes in advance because, you know, in everyone's world, mostly like at least my world, if you're 15 minutes early, you're on time. If you're by the 10-minute window, like you're doing pretty good. Somebody probably stare at you, give you a side eye. 5 minutes till the meeting, definitely people are talking about you. If you're 30 seconds rolling in, you might as well just already assume everyone's already said their thing about you. Sit down and just figure out where
What he's saying is they're talking about us, guys.
We brought snacks though.
But
We brought snacks.
there are ways to go around all that as long, if you bring snacks or
Everybody.
like a really good share thing or a story. So just heads up, that's kind of how DEIC works. And by works, I mean not particularly, but since you guys set the standard today with coming in on time and just being ready to start on time, I really appreciate that. Because as some of you may already know from last year being a member of the committee, some of these meetings can be really long. And some of them can be long just because there's a lot to cover and a lot to discuss and get through. But I definitely want to be mindful of time, so we will definitely start on time, even if we have people rolling in after the fact, no big deal. But also wanting to keep the meetings about an hour and a half to, again, honor time and also to honor commitments that might be happening after the meeting. So for instance, today was a little bit of an impromptu kind of switch around at the last second because Thursday we had our board meeting moved to, our Tuesday board meeting moved to Thursday where we had our original meeting on that day, and that is why we are meeting today and not Thursday. But generally speaking, all of our meetings will be held on Thursdays, okay? And so without getting too much into the details about the meeting today, I just would like to say, again, welcome back. It's hard to believe that it's still 23-24 school year, even though we're already into week 7. Again, hard to imagine. For those of you who have not been paying enough attention around, or even like in the other areas in Texas, the majority of districts have gone back to school this week. Again, mind blown when I think about us now starting this week being our second day. Not sure if I could even reconcile that in my head given just when we began and just how far we already are into the year. It's like now everybody else has to catch up, right? So with that said, I would just like to kind of go around the tables, do some quick introductions since we have a lot of new faces this year. And we don't have any current administrators in the room, do we? Other than just one, myself. Okay. So just so it's clear, the DEIC committee is comprised mainly of teachers. You will see administrators from time to time in the meetings, just in the event that there might be a special item that they need to be here for, or just because they would like to be here for just support, or because there's a topic that's relevant to their campus, and they just want to make sure that no information gets lost, first-hand, second-hand, third-hand information, that type of thing, okay? But again, mainly the committee is comprised of teachers, which means that you all have a majority vote in the committee. So if we did have an administrator here that was not a part of the committee, they could participate but not necessarily vote, okay? Ms. Watkins knows about Shaq, and Shaq being a little bit more, I don't want to say astute, but it's like on a different level when it comes to some of the rules and procedures for like open meetings and some of the acts that we have to follow provision-wise. DEIC isn't quite like that, but some of the things we'll do in here, we'll kind of treat it as if it was, just so that it's clear about what we're trying to do, whether it's reviewing policy and recommending changes, possibly creating some of the changes ourselves. For instance, with one of our agenda items with the district parent and family engagement policy, that is where you all will get an opportunity to review the policy and offer up changes or additions as you would like to. So that gives you the ability to have some decision making, and at that point, once the committee kind of takes a look at what's being said and offered, they will get a chance to kind of rule on that decision. Does that make sense? So when we get there, it'll make even better sense if it doesn't right now. But that's just me kind of getting through a little bit of some of the details from this year. And so again, before we kind of get into agenda item 2, let's do agenda item 1, welcome and introductions. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for all the compliments on the nameplates and how fancy they are. Took all day to do those, so I'm glad the acknowledgement was like right out the bat. Nice, right?
Beautiful.
So with that said, now that we have nameplates, everyone's good, we're seated, we have snacks, drinks, everything under the sun. How about primary starts us off and takes us around the table with quick introductions, tell us your name. You don't necessarily say your campus since we already said that, but go for it if you want to. Your years of experience in the district or just in general, and then what's your teaching assignment?
Valerie Shirley, been at TM 10 years, and I'm the dyslexia interventionist at the primary.
She was kinder though.
And I was kinder first, yes.
First and always.
Yes, kinder is dear to my heart.
I'm Sarah Louise. This is my 6th year. I've been here since student teaching, so y'all can't get rid of me.
Awesome.
Jessica Hudler. I'm one of the reading specialists, new this year. This is my 6th year here, but my 12th year, I think, in teaching. Sorry. I did pre-K and kinder.
All right.
I'm Becca Hernandez. I teach 1st grade. This is my 3rd year here, and I've been here since student teaching.
And I'm Celinda Castro, 9th year, all in kinder.
Awesome. All right, primary. Okay, intermediate. You see, I guess y'all can see where I'm going with this.
I'm Erica Ledesma. This is my 2nd year teaching. I teach math and science in 5th grade, and that was it. Those are the questions?
Years of experience. Did we do that?
1 whole year.
1 whole year. You gotta say it loud and proud though.
That's why I always say it. In my 1 year of experience, let me tell you what I learned. So wise now. I'm Cassie Alvarez. This is my 12th year teaching. I did 10 years in 2nd grade. This is my 2nd and 5th. And I also did my student teaching at Toloso and then got hired on. So
Right.
my kids are here, so same. I'm not going anywhere. You're going to drag me out.
Glad to hear it.
So Amber Watkins, I'm a parent of a middle schooler and an intermediate. I'm also the vice president of the PTA at the intermediate and have served on the PTA for 8 years in the president, vice president role across 2 campuses.
Okay, middle school.
I'll go first. I'm Amber Bone. I'm 8th grade social studies. This is my 17th year overall and my 5th year here in Toloso.
I am April Patino. My daughter is 8th grade middle school. I've been on this board now my 3rd year.
Glad to have you back.
Hi, I'm Agatha Diaz. This is my 7th year teaching, but my 3rd year at Toloso, and I teach 6th grade honors math.
I'm Nicole De Leon. This is my 17th or 18th year. I'm not really.
Let's round up.
I've been here for 10 years, and this year I'm in 8th grade reading. I've actually got to bump up with my kids since 6th grade, so that's exciting. So I'm hoping for high school next year.
Oh, yeah, I'll keep that one in my back pocket. Any ahas with that? Because that's unique.
I've loved it because you can start the year off like that because they already know like the routines and there's no behavior issues. Well, there's no behavior issues, but it's an easy transition. And then so like when we started this year, a lot of the kids that were not able to have me were like, oh, why not? I had you for 2 years. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't make the rules.
Would you say like possibly teaming at the middle school level might be like a good option to go for? In terms of like having like a cohort and you're with someone and everyone moves together
I think it
and
would work well, but I don't know.
just throwing it out there.
I'd like to.
All right, middle school. Thank you. Okay, high school.
Hello, I'm Julie Botchek. I am the math department head. I think this is my 3rd year at TM.
It's your 3rd year.
Who won't let me leave? I think this is my 17th year teaching. I teach Algebra 1 and Geometry. I have freshmen, babies.
It's still a long week. She's saving her voice.
Yes, oh my goodness. Can't wait until tomorrow's over.
My name is Kelly Griffin. I teach animal science classes through the vet med pathway. I'm the CTE department chair. This is my 12th year at TM, my 18th year overall. And I've actually been on every campus at TM except the intermediate.
Okay.
Fun fact.
Fun fact. I did not know that, Ms. Griffin.
Hi everybody, I'm Edith Diaz, and this is my 29th year in education overall. My 6th year here at TM, and these two ladies are amazing.
Oh, thanks, everybody.
Okay.
Oh, I'm the counselor, by the way.
There we go. All right, ACC.
My name is Ricardo Zavala. This is my 4th year teaching, overall 3rd year at TM. I'm a social studies teacher there at ACC. This year I'm serving on the DEIC and as a safety officer for ACC.
My name is Ariana Granados. Like Erica, this is my 2nd year here with TM, 1 full year of experience. I'm the math teacher at ACC, so I teach Algebra 1, Geometry, Personal Finance, Math Models, Algebra 2, all of it.
What's your favorite math?
None of it.
It changes. Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2. Yeah.
Okay, lots of favorites. Awesome. Rosie, do you want to do an introduction?
Sure. I'm Rosie Salinas. I'm the Director of Technology here at TM. It's my 27th year in education, my 2nd year at TM. Loving it.
I'm really not. What? I'm really not a member of this committee. But I come in and out periodically. I'm Steve. My 2nd year as your superintendent. I'm almost getting back to normal as far as transitioning from being a nurse with my wife to getting to be here every day and go to stuff. And then I'll get to enjoy that for 2 or 3 weeks, and then we'll do the other leg. So, but we'll get that out of the way. But head over heels in budget. We're a little behind on getting everything we need to do to adopt a budget and set a tax rate. I know that there's a lot of interest in what that budget's going to look like, and we are prepared to roll. I believe we're about 95% done as far as the funding. We will be adopting a deficit budget. What that means is that we anticipate more expenditures than revenue based on ADA. There's 2 things that's really impacting a $51 million budget, and that is actually 3 things: legal, substitutes, and ADA. When you look at the historical track of TM, we are operating from the same budgetary perspective as we did when we had 300 additional kids. However, what I will present to the board on Thursday is 3 huge priorities that must be protected at all costs, regardless of subs, regardless of ADA, and regardless of legal. And that is safety and security, high-quality instructional material, and investment in our teachers. And so we will continue to do that. Those will be protected. Everything else is on the table. But what we will transition into 23-24 is we're going to put a bubble around the campuses as far as staffing, the numbers, the student-teacher ratio. And we've seen an increase in enrollment with high school, about 50 or 60, and that's going to continue to grow because of the programming vis-a-vis Warpath. But we've seen a significant drop in enrollment in primary, around 120 kids. And that was totally unexpected. Intermediate is ticking up a little above what they were last year, same way with middle school. So if we could find the variable that's affecting primary, it would solve some of our problems. We do know this. There's a 300 house development going in adjacent to Rand Morgan. You see the, I don't know, the plumbing stuff coming out of the ground. Demographers say 1.5 kids per single family home. And then if you, I'm probably giving too much information for you, but I don't know, somewhere in me thinks this may be of interest to you. And then if you're at the football stadium and you're walking across the parking lot of the home stadium and you walk into that cotton field, they're going to build 750 houses there. Problem is, that's Cal Allen ISD.
That's so weird.
I know.
They don't have to go there.
They do not. They knew. I made a plea to Emily, the superintendent of Cal Allen, that if they would annex that to us, it would save them gas.
Did she buy it?
No. No. But it's just weird how our high school is really up against our attendance zone with Cal Allen. But that I know that HQIM has been a struggle. But when you look at where we're going with accountability, I don't think we have any options. Ms. Diaz, I do want to tell you this. I was with a large group of your seventh graders today. They weren't just yours. They were a bunch of seventh graders. You're at eighth grade now, right? Yes.
I'm in eighth grade. Yeah.
Okay. And I did a little exercise with them. I said, huddle up and let's collaborate. And they knew what that word meant, academic vocabulary. And I said, tell me one thing, and pick a spokesperson that you want me to change with school. And I was thinking a shorter school day, longer intercession, vending machines. They want strawberry milk for lunch. Strawberry milk for lunch. And so okay. So I said, one of the cool things about being superintendent is I'm people's boss that control things. Let's call the person that controls the cafeteria and see if we can do that. So I called Mr. Hernandez and I put it on speakerphone and I asked, can we have strawberry milk for lunch? And what do you think the answer was?
Yes.
We can't do it. We can't have any fun. I guess it's too much. I guess it's too much sugar. We can't have any fun. Why can't you have? What does school come to if you can't have? I don't think they have chocolate either. They wanted strawberry. So let me tell you what I'm going to do.
No.
You don't teach seventh grade, do you? Let me tell you what I'm going to do.
They give us chocolate.
I'm going to get the whole seventh grade a thing of strawberry milk and say, this is the best I can do. But please don't tell on me because I'm breaking the rule. What an example I'm setting, right? But anyway, I'm sorry, that's my introduction.
I think it's great.
I love it.
And so, if you want to know more about food nutrition and smart snacks, I'm going to send you an invite to our next Shack meeting where...
We're going to hide our bag.
I would never have said that with Shaq.
We will not be a part of that committee.
It's just funny because we're going to be, at our second Shack meeting, we'll be talking a little bit about the district wellness plan. at which point some of that will come up as topics. But it is interesting that you would think milk, right? Nutritious, no big deal, it's something we've all had. Yeah, the difference between just regular and low fat, chocolate, low fat, and strawberry. Well, strawberry's off the table because it's just the pure, like, I guess, corn fructose syrup is way too high, period. Whether it's regular, low fat, skim, it doesn't matter. So that's why you never see it. But now with the way kind of the things are moving with food and nutrition at the state, federal level, they're now considering chopping chocolate milk because of its high corn fructose syrup content. And then I'm like thinking back to when I was in school, and that was really the only reason why I kind of went in the morning, at least at middle school, was to get my milk. And so I'm not sure what the strategy will be for those students like me that kind of relied on chocolate milk, because I didn't really like regular milk.
Send the 7th graders to Austin.
Yeah, so I guess that's where we, strengthen numbers. So shack meeting. Okay. So with that said, just want to get some kind of house chores out of the way. So again, everything that we'll do in this meeting will kind of be facilitated through this document right here. This was emailed out prior, so if you had not had a chance to access it, please check your email, make sure you can get to it. Everything that we'll do through this year will be on this document, including the things that we did last year. So if you are a new member and would like to kind of catch yourself up on what we did last year, feel free to scroll to the bottom and just work your way up. All the meetings, all the agendas, all the materials, you can access anything that you'd like. And so that's just kind of how we do things here. So if there is something that you would like to see added or done differently, feel free to provide that feedback. Always looking for ways to improve things. But with that said, membership list with the meeting dates, that document's there for you. We did add a September meeting just to kind of get us close to when accountability ratings will come out. So we are meeting that Thursday, September 28th. The 2023 accountability ratings for the district and the campuses will be released on Tuesday of that week. So we wanted to schedule something close to that so that we can spend a little bit more time going over that information and providing some updates and allowing for questions and things like that. So that was the reason why we added that date. And as you can see, we have several meetings this year, which of course just means that we have lots of business to get after. So we will be busy. Also too, just so everyone's aware, we do have board policy governing this committee. And so if you are interested, you can click on the links. You can access the documents. Legal framework is at the school board level. And local policy is more at the district administrator level. And so essentially legal is how things are defined for all LEAs, all school districts. And local policy is the interpretation and application of legal at the kind of specific district campus level. Does that make sense? So it's like we start wide, big picture, 1,000-foot view. At the legal level, the local policy kind of sharpens and focuses those legal requirements into local policies and procedures. And so it kind of works like that for each of the policies that govern just about everything we do in education. And so this is the district, this is the campus, and this is the campus here. And so, for instance, at the campus level, they don't have something called DEIC, they really have something called SBDM, site-based decision-making. And it works and acts in the same manner. Many of the rules are the same, but there are some distinctions. And so if you're curious and want to know more, or just to kind of amp up your policy knowledge, feel free to read through some of this, come to understand and familiarize yourself with some of the rules. Like, for instance, again, 2/3 of this committee is required to be teachers, and therefore that is why you see the majority of the members on this committee as teachers, so on and so forth. And without getting too boring into the legal mumbo jumbo, are there any questions about policy or just how things work, or maybe even how things should work? Anything like that? Pretty straightforward? No big deal? All right, awesome. Okay, kind of some updates, just kind of like what Mr. Van Matry said. We have a big day on Thursday. real big day, passing our budget. And so with all that, that kind of lets us kind of initiate the year with basically new fiscal year, new expenditures coming in. And so when September 1st rolls, that will kind of be when the first day of the new budget season opens. And so you'll probably be receiving a bunch of information after the fact. And so Thursday, big day, Friday, new budget year, and more information about the year, the fiscal year, and just some of the things that will be along those lines will be forthcoming. And so if you're not busy Thursday, swing by the board meeting and check us out. Should be a very informative, but also just good in the sense of just knowing where we are and where we're really wanting to go with a lot of the things that we have planned for this school year and some of the next school years. Yes.
What time is the board meeting?
6:45 will be when we start the public hearing over the budget. Good question. And of course, if you can't make it, everything is recorded, so feel free to watch it online at your leisure. And so with that said, one of the biggest things that I did want to kind of make sure everybody was aware of is the fact that TMISD has engaged in something called strategic planning. And that is basically a collaborative effort among several different groups within the district to basically compile the district roadmap, both short-term and long-term. Our strategic plan is built on a 5-year roadmap. And so that will be one thing that as we work this month to finalize the strategic plan, we will be bringing that to the board in September for their review and approval. And so this document contains basically the meat and potatoes of everything that we have been working on. For instance, HQIM, which has already been mentioned, DLI, Warpath Academy, all of our departments within the district have set goals and targets so that year by year, or even semester by semester, they understand the roadmap they're taking and kind of the stops that they will be making and hopefully hitting some of those targets that they've set for themselves. And so this whole document will, once it's approved in September, will be part of how we communicate more transparently and more clearly just about the direction we're headed and how things are going to kind of be prioritized and focused within the district. And so I say all that as I bring it back to the budget, and so you can kind of get a sense of how the budget and strategic planning, both short-term and long-term, how that will kind of look and go as that document gets approved in September. And so we've already mentioned some of those big topics like HQIM, DLI, Warpath Academy. Those are a big focus of the plan. Therefore, the budgets will be kind of aligned to ensuring that those programs, those needs of those programs are being met, and that we're increasing kind of the capacity of each of those programs so that at the end of the day, we're moving everything in the direction we want things to go in. HQIM is above everything else the #1 priority of the districts. And hopefully I'm not just saying that and you're hearing it for the first time, but if you are, well, good, because it won't be the last time you hear HQIM being the priority of the district. And so HQIM kind of speaks to specific products and curriculum that are TA sponsored, that have been vetted and fully reviewed time and time again for rigor and relevance. And so it's essentially TA saying that this is the best of the best curriculum that we offer. And not only is it the best of the best, but it also aligns directly with our state assessments, how we progress measure students in class, and also just with technology and how everything seems to be moving online and through a digital means rather than a paper means. And so HQIM really helps kind of gear us up and orient us in that direction where we are moving in the 21st century, not only teaching our students with rigor and relevance with a curriculum that is fully vetted and approved, but also aligned to state assessment, aligned to college and career readiness, incorporates and teaches all the requirements of the TEIC so that we are in compliance with the state on that. And so it just does a lot for us in that regard. And kind of just having said that, does anybody have any comments about HQIM? Anything they'd like to share from their perspective about it? The good, the bad, the ugly, the really ugly, the god awful, the I wish I'd never heard HQIM ever again. Anything like that?
It's been a little bit of a rough start, but I think just trying to manage through it.
When you say rough, is it like rough in like sandpaper rough? Or is it more like rough as in like you got poked and you're kind of just sore? Or like, kind of talk to us about that.
Boat on the sea in the hurricane?
Yeah.
See in the hurricane, so like I had the storm thing where.
No, not the calm part.
Not the calm.
Like the wall where it's rough, really rough. Like the really rough part.
Category 5?
Yeah, so that's where I'm like, do we give it a number?
Category 5,
Are we about to give it a
eye
name?
roll of the eye, yes.
Is it rotating like this, or is it rotating like that?
It's not moving and we're just in it.
moving?
We're just in it. Is its name Eureka?
I will say from a parent's perspective, I think the helpful thing about it, I mean, because we struggle, of course, we don't know the math piece. I haven't seen any on the reading side, but the tips and tricks that can go home, I know I look at them. I don't know if every parent does, but it at least puts it into perspective and kind of gives you a way to understand what your student is learning and how to do it with them. Like I said, I haven't seen it on the reading side, but the math side, it's been helpful.
That's good to hear. And trust me when I say I know it's been rough. With anything that's brand new and such a paradigm shift where we have removed literally the thing that you use and have now put something completely brand new, totally foreign and unfamiliar in your hand and said, okay, now go.
With it.
Now go.
And for us, we're self-contained, so we have the new ELA, the new math. So just trying to learn how to do it. Like, and I told kids, I'm learning with you right now how to do this. Like, just kind of being honest with them.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of getting it, I think, at least with math, sort of.
Well, if you're saying you're kind of getting it now, imagine in 6 weeks, maybe what you'll be saying about it then, Ryan.
That's the hope.
You're gonna get it.
I think it's just time
think it's a
spent
time
right now
constraint.
with us having to look at these units,
Yeah.
of course, before creating PowerPoints, making sure you understand how to teach it. We still, of course, have all of our other duties on top of it. It's just time's not on our side right now. And I know for us, we talk about it, it's been family time lost because it's a lot, which I know it will get better, but it's a lot
Right now, it's a
Right,
lot.
with any new curriculum, it just takes time to get used to it and to know it. That way I don't have to rely so much on reading what the book says and just kind of knowing what to do.
Right. Well, not to kind of pile on or anything, but. I know you were just getting to love HKIM, but I say that because one of the things that we're doing this year as we're kind of implementing Amplify, Eureka, Carnegie at the primary, intermediate, and middle campuses, high school is one campus that we have not started that yet. However, this is basically their planning year where we received a grant from LASSO called Strong Foundations Planning. And so that will be one way that we initiate the high school campus is through that grant and through that planning process where we have partnered with ESC2 and their technical assistant providers. And so they'll be working with us this year with our math team and our math team as a district, but specifically with the target of adding Carnegie at the high school level. And so, I know, slow clap. Slow clap.
Bro, what do you need, honey? What do you need?
It's bad enough that they put Algebra 1 as a block and I'm racing to the finish line. I know.
Well, maybe that will change for next year.
It's going to change next year.
All right. All right,
And
Ms.
you wanna say,
Pochette, throw it out
I
there.
will tell them right now.
And you want to say, like,
I
aside
don't know what it is, but
from,
I'm pretty sure he heard you just because, yeah. But,
aside from all the hiccups,
yeah,
like, you see what it's trying to do, and we like what it's trying to do. It's just getting
yeah.
the trips. But it'll be fine. It's going to be fabulous.
It'll be great.
It will be, I promise you, because
Wait, stay positive.
it's one of those like, I don't want to say fake it till you make it, but it really is one of those, once you kind of go through the paradigm shift with this new way of doing business with the curriculum, it just kind of becomes what you're almost used to doing at some point, and you'll wake up and realize, okay, I think this is the spot I was supposed to be in the entire time, and now that I'm here, I get it. Like, I get why we had to go through this process so that I could finally get to this point and say, okay, I think I understand
Trust the
now.
process is what I've been telling my kids. Trust
What I
it, just
don't
trust it,
think-
guys.
What I don't think that the parents understand, and of course I do, because I've been here, so I knew that this was coming, but for the other parents, like they are struggling with not understanding why all of a sudden their child is struggling. They're
Yes.
starting to fail, because where it's really gonna slap them in the face is when they're not eligible to play football, or they can't cheer. And that's coming, unfortunately, for some of them. And so you see them asking on the parents' page, where are the tutors? And the middle school is wonderful about doing tutoring before and
really are.
after school, but the parents don't understand, well, like, I know that you guys put a lot of thought into what you got, obviously, but from some of the parents that I've seen negative comments are like, why the hell would they do that when they know, why would they force our kids into something that they know they don't know? Like, I know that the bigger picture is there, but I don't know that it was really explained very well to the parents that this was coming and why. I still don't think they understand that.
I'm a teacher here, and I didn't know that there had been a change in curriculum until about 2 weeks ago, so.
Well, on top of the grading changes, because I didn't know that that came either, that the minor and major percentages were flipped. I didn't know that either. So I was like, okay, so that's kind of eating their lunch at the same time. So at the middle school and the high school level, where the minor grades were 35% and the major were 65, now they're flipped. So these kids that were getting by on
I didn't know that either.
not turning in homework because a zero's not gonna hurt me, now it's killing them because now it's worth 65 instead of 35.
But
So
it
it's
is
like a
making them more
double-edged sword.
accountable for their
It
daily
is,
work.
so like they'll get there, but I just don't think that, like, you know what I mean, like the parents are like, what the hell? It's kind
Well,
of
I
like-
didn't know. I have two middle schoolers. I had no idea.
You're definitely right, Ms. Watkins, with the parent communication, and just communicating changes
All makes sense now,
and
Ms. Diaz.
reasons
Makes sense now.
why, and some rationale, just so that from our perspective, you understand where we're coming from, whether you agree or disagree, at least you understand, so
Right.
that
You've got
it's not a guess or
knowledge that it was-
assumptions being made as a negative because, we didn't give you anything, so it's easy to kind of fill that in with a negative,
And even
right?
as far as the students go, we tried telling them, we're not expecting mastery, but they're used to these certain grades, and it's been really hard on their confidence or self-esteem, getting B's, failing things. It's hard to convince them what's happening. So I wish there was a way to, explain it better. I don't know how else to explain it to them to where it doesn't feel like I'm kicking them in the gut.
I failed on fifth grade math because when I help my son, I am lost. And I have to Google, and I do check the parent, and even then, I'm like, what? There's a reason I teach kindergarten, because I'm not a math person.
It affects a lot of things. I mean, we're the GT plot from fifth grade, but and they're not used to struggling.
Right.
And
now they are.
Yeah,
and-
they are very much so struggling, and yeah.
Say
We're
it.
doing a lot of social emotional.
Yes.
A lot of social emotional lessons.
Hugs all day, tears, like tears,
Hugs,
and
tears.
It's okay, guys. It's me crying usually. It's not.
Like they're freaking out.
No, I totally, I get it. I can say, from my perspective as a 5-year English teacher myself, at the high school level, I've taught English 1 through 4, I've taught psychology, sociology, I've done SAT prep, I've done straight, legitimate local level, not even worthy of a course class title, but all we did was vocab because of deficits in Houston where I taught in HISD, where every single student probably on campus was at least 2 or 3 grade levels below, and our top 10% would probably be maybe the bottom quarter of our district tier. And so obviously you can see that no 2 districts, no 2 ranks, no 2 classes are the same. And so when you're in a situation like your entire population is behind, it's what do you do when, is there a magic potion or a silver bullet like HQIM is kind of being made out to be? Maybe it is, maybe it won't be, but it's like, what do we do for our kids when we know they're at this level, when we know we need to get them here? It's the same thing here in TM, but our kids are just on a different part of the spectrum where our kids are really, really good. We have some of the best students I've ever had the opportunity of working with. And I've worked in 5 districts, Dallas, Houston, Bird City, Lumberton, and Tolosa Midway. And so I can say being in Dallas, Houston, Southeast Texas, Bird City, Lumberton, which is Region 5 near Beaumont, And so to kind of give you a big city picture, by far and away, Tulsa Midway best students, by far and away. And so that's a testament to what we've already done, but also acknowledging that if we want our students to be here in X amount of years, and according to our strategic plan, that's 5 years, what do we want that to look like? And how are we going to get them there if we're doing the same thing as we've always done, or not changing and adapting to everything else that's changing and basically, I guess, increasing in its rigor and expectations around us, right? State accountability has completely changed and increased in difficulty. STAR has been redesigned 2.0, completely online, totally different test than it's ever been before, completely different, totally challenging, right? So you can kind of get the sense of where things are going, and HQIM is just our way of trying to keep up and maintain. And as soon as we get our bearings and our students understand and our parents understand, it will just become another thing that we do here. And others will be looking in on what we are doing and wishing that they had joined in at the time that we did, because in 2, 3, 4 years, they will start seeing the decreases and the deficits, whereas we will be seeing the fruits of our labor and the benefits of being what I'd like to say the A district that I think we all know we can be. To me, HQIM is a missing piece of the puzzle, and as soon as we kind of know how to fit it in, because right now we're kind of jamming it in a little bit and it's not exactly comfortable, but as soon as we figure it out, we'll be okay. I'm telling you, it's going to be a game changer, because our students will understand the expectation is here and not exactly like right here or even right here as some other districts have them. And so that's just going to be an adjustment period for sure. But you're right, we definitely need to do a better job of communicating and just letting it be known kind of where we are and where it's going to go, and clearing up some of the things along the way.
Districts that have implemented these types of curriculum, how many years in do they start seeing the shift?
After the first year.
So next year's going to be
Well, I'd say after the first year, I'd say second semester is when you really start seeing some of the growth and benefits from first semester, where you're kind of just trying to hit the ground running, and you're kind of living day by day almost a little bit, just because you're not quite sure and it's unfamiliar and it's harder to project out the curriculum. Whereas if you've done something for a while, you know what that is, you know where it's going, you know what it's going to look like, especially assessment-wise, right? You pretty much know what you need to do in order to get the kids ready. This, being everything new, just changes everything. Requires more time, requires more just levels of energy that you don't necessarily want to apply for something like this, because you want to save your energy for something else, possibly like your family. I totally get it, but hang in there. Because trust me when I say, we wouldn't be making the investment in terms of the budget that we're making if we didn't believe that this was the right choice.
Email you in 1 year, sir.
That's right. 1 year from
We'll do a
today.
check-in.
Yeah. So hopefully we figured out the strawberry milk thing by then. So that's just the big thing on HQIM. If anybody else has anything they'd like to share, or even possibly after the fact, you can always email. You can always anonymously send a little note, like message in the bottle type stuff. If you truly don't want your name involved, but you really want your voice to be heard, we will accept anything. Because at the end of the day, we want to hear back as much as we can in order to take what we get and make improvements. Because really and truly, we want this to be the best thing for everybody. We really, really do. And so with that said, that also kind of ties back into teacher incentive allotment, which again, part of strategic planning. And so for those of you that are TIA teacher eligible, do we know who is and how I am or am not?
No.
Okay, we have one. So here's how you know if you're TIA eligible. If you are a pre-K teacher, if you're a kinder teacher, if you are grades 1 through 3 RLA or math, if you are grades 4 through 8 RLA or math, or if you teach any EOC subject at the high school. And by any, I really mean just Algebra 1 and English right now, and we'll factor in some of the other ones later on. But that's where the initial teacher incentive allotment group has started. And so now that we're in year 2, because our application last year was approved, which was super awesome. So into year 2 means we capture the teacher data this year, which not only is just for the TIA eligible teachers, but it's for everybody. And so that will be one thing that you'll see done a little bit differently this year with walkthroughs and observations. You'll see more district level personnel on campuses doing walkthroughs and observations, as well as just teams of appraisers coming in and doing walkthroughs and observations. A lot of what will be done is not going to be a factor into your overall rating. A lot of what will be done is to calibrate our ratings as appraisers to ensure that there's fidelity across the board with the assignment of a rating. And so that's going to be something that you'll see starting pretty soon after intersession break. And so one thing you can kind of get a look at here is, as we're working right now on calibration activities and evaluation timelines, what we're wanting to do as a district is to streamline and be more transparent about how evaluations will work and how that will work according to just TIA, which is what you can kind of see as the calibration activities, and just anything in general when it comes to just performance evaluation for teachers. I definitely think that can be something we do a better job at the district level, and just kind of acknowledging that. This is some of the work that's going to go into this year, trying to produce products and materials that just make what we do and what we're wanting to do more clear. So it's not a surprise with when we kind of decide that observations happen or when you can expect a walkthrough to happen, or just in terms of either one of those, what you can do in order to get ready, or some of the things that as a district we're going to prioritize so that you're hitting those descriptors. You're making sure that as the teacher, you're doing X, Y, Z. As the student, they're doing X, Y, Z. And so as we come in and tell you we are looking for those things, you already know all that, and you can really kind of factor those things into your lesson to ensure that, you know, you're hitting those marks.
When you say calibration, I don't fully understand what that means.
So calibration essentially means on the appraiser side, who's the one going into the room and doing the evaluation. Calibration is where appraisers get together and form a team. Like, for instance, Ms. Alvaro, Ms. Salinas, and myself, we could be a calibration team, and we're going in together and observing, you know, Mr. Smith, okay? And we're going into Mr. Smith, we're spending 5 minutes in his room, and we're looking for levels of engagement and student participation. And those are the only things that we know amongst ourselves when we go in. When we go in, we script, we come back, we then assign ratings. Then we would compare our ratings and then to see how close are we, or how far off are we. And if we're close, that's great. We would talk and have conversations about what we saw, and of course we would agree, yeah, that's a 3 because of this, or yeah, that's a 4, did a really good job because they had the evidence on the board, which connected back to the students where we heard the academic language and vocabulary, and everybody was fully engaged. The teacher didn't even have to say a thing. You could tell right away that there are processes in place, things are structured, so on and so forth. However, if we were far off in our ratings, we would then need to talk about what we saw and the why behind why you gave a 3 and I gave a 1, right? Because there's too much variance there where it's almost like, well, I want the higher rater coming in to give my evaluation, not the guy that's going to be real strict and tough, because I already know he's going to assign me a low rating because he's tough. I want the easy one who's going to give me the higher rating.
Okay.
The calibration activities will allow us to eliminate that, so that as you know, when you are evaluated by any appraiser, that we have done the calibration work so that everything will be very fair and just across the board the same.
So really quickly, I had a question more specifically for ACC.
Yeah.
Because our school is so different. Because unless you're teaching a EOC class, your classroom is not going to be traditional. Like in social studies, I may have 2 students who are doing government, one doing eco, one doing world geography.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of one-on-one. So how does that get valued into?
Well, everything you said would then kind of point me to differentiation and one-to-one student work. And so your classroom sounds very student-centered. And so when I come in, I honestly probably wouldn't be looking a whole bunch about what you as the teacher would be doing. I'd be really focused on the levels of students and what the work would be for them, and just getting a sense of where they are, where they're going, what's already happened. And so it'd be really heavy on the students, rather heavy on the teacher, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
But you've already set it up to where things are differentiated. So as the teacher, I already know that kind of work that you've done. And based on my questions I would ask those students, I would know kind of what you've taught, the skills that you've focused on, and then some of the recommendations I would give you based on maybe some of the things they couldn't answer, or just things that are upcoming, and maybe a little hint or a clue as far as like, hey, you've got this one student here who's really saying that they need this.
Yeah. Well, it's good.
Heads up.
I think more of the question is like, in our case, we could have a student who started World Geo today.
Yeah.
And someone who's been in there for the last 4 weeks. So it's like, what they're doing is completely different than what they're doing. So I guess that was like the question, like in the sense of like, oh, what if the student gets asked a question that they haven't?
I can give you even a better answer. I will, basically, but on everything you said, it would really be about the evidence that's observed. So as appraisers, one thing that we're required to do is to only script and write evidence of what we actually see that's a tangible thing. We don't interject our thoughts. There's no feelings involved in appraising. It's really just what's happening, the who, what, where, when, why, how stuff. And so once the facts and the evidence are collected as a script, if you will, then that evidence gets applied to the rubric, that's T-tests, and then that's where the calibration occurs to ensure that that evidence that we are marking is being placed appropriately on that rubric. And generally speaking, the majority of appraisers, if they all saw the same lesson, 9 out of 10 better have the evidence placed exactly where it should be on the rubric. But that comes with, again, working together, having conversations, talking so that we're clear on what that looks like for us, right? So for instance, I can show you this. This is some of the work that I've been working on, and we'll roll out in a week or two to principals and directors. For instance, when we're talking about performance levels and just using proficient, again, T-test, proficient as the, you're an amazing teacher if you're proficient standard, because again, that's part of why we're also doing TIA, is to kind of reset and recalibrate how teachers are evaluated. Because, for instance, who in here is used to getting 5s? And by 5, I mean that's the above and beyond. You're basically like Jesus in the classroom walking on that water. You've got it to where you could have 2 hands tied behind your back, blindfolded, and all your kids are going to be amazing on STAR. That's what a 5 is. And if you're not there, that's okay, because not all of us can do that. I never got a 5 at any point in my entire life. And in Houston, I felt like I got rated every day, because there was always people coming in, and always wanting to leave feedback, provide feedback, so forth. I never got above a 4.5 on anything. I think there was one day, I must have been my day, because I got like more 4s than 3s. And I was like, wow, that's never happened before. Because generally speaking, if you get 3s, like, you're good. Like 3 is solid, really and truly, like if everybody could just be a 3 and we could call it a day, we probably wouldn't even need administrators in the district. Teachers could run this whole thing themselves, because that's what it says based on if you read the rubric, okay? So heads up on that. If you're used to getting anything above a proficient, more than likely that will be readjusted, just like with students and student grades, just like with the kids.
So what you're saying is we're going to be crying. No, I'm kidding.
We can all cry together, right? Say, I'll lead like one big district-wide SEL lesson.
Dr. D, we're going to need you.
We're going to be calling you.
Where's Leo? Where's this at, Dr. White?
This is on the deck.
Oh, so.
And this hasn't been released yet. Y'all are the first ones to see this. That's kind of why I was like, where is this? Well, it was created or finished up about maybe a couple days ago. And so I'm letting you all kind of into this as an opportunity to kind of just see what we've been up to and knowing what's coming down the pike, because at the next principal directors meeting, this will be rolled out to them. We're going to have additional meetings about this from this calendar right here, where, as you can see, upcoming in September, we're going to have an initial calibration training just for all appraisers. And then we are going to start kind of, I would say, kind of getting more specific with who's going to be in teams and how that's going to look. So for instance, everybody that's assigned and approved to be an appraiser in the district will receive initial training. From there, the central level leadership team, directors, assistants, soups, so forth, they will be a team and they will go through calibration together. From there, we're going to have some data meetings in between to talk about what we are observing in the classrooms, the BOI, MOI, EOI data. And again, from this go around, a big focus has been on NWEA maps. And so that'll be a big part of the BOI assessment data conversation during that time. From there, we're going to go down even further to the campus level with those appraisers. And so all campus appraisers are going to be led by the Curriculum and Instruction Department by Dr. Sham. And she will take everybody through, at that level, their calibration. And from there, then the campus principal will take their team and do the same. And so everybody's going to be going through the same level of calibration and same level of training so that we're all getting the same information, going through the same types of exercises so that we're all arriving at the same spots where we need to be in terms of being able to provide a rating that is done with fidelity and accurate no matter who or what is happening. It's being done the same. And so that's going to be a big focus for us in the next 2 weeks.
A quick question, sorry, I don't want to be asking a lot, but do you know approximately how many unofficial walkthroughs there's going to be aside from principals, from district level or?
I couldn't tell you that right now. But that's a great question. I like your mindset right now. I'm trying to find it out. Don't walk it out. No. It's like, okay, how many times? No. Don't think about it like that. But I will say, if you are TIA eligible, the requirements for you will be at least 2 walkthroughs in the spring, or 2 walkthroughs in the fall, 2 walkthroughs in the spring, and 1 observation. The observation will happen either in March or April.
So you mentioned a whole bunch of different groups getting calibrated. How many people are going to come in and actually assess us?
Just 1.
Oh,
and about how long do they stay in the class? You said like 5 minutes? 5 minutes?
No more than 5. Some people say walkthroughs.
For the calibration, right? Not the official.
The calibration will be 3 to 5 minutes, which is a walkthrough. Anything above that, to me, really isn't a walkthrough at that point. Yeah, it starts becoming an observation.
So when they come in, set your timer for 5 minutes.
Set it for 3.
I'm going to put my timer up because I use it all the time.
What are the growth measures that you guys are going to be using?
Good question. So growth measures, what do you teach? What grade?
6th grade.
6th grade. So that would be STAR. So STAR will be your measure. Pretest, which if you want to think about it, pretest, post-test. For instance, grades 1 through 3, we're using NWEA as the pretest, post-test. So that'll be the student growth measure. For you as a STAR teacher, it'll be prior year STAR, upcoming year STAR. And then formative assessments that are being done throughout the year, those will be part of the data calibration correlation meetings that we'll have as far as talking about that. Does it match what we've had in the past? Are you expecting this moving forward? Or what do we now need to do and identify so that things are trending in the direction you want them to go? Because again, we want you to be successful. This is not a got you type of thing. This is we want to position everybody in the best position possible to be the most effective so that if and when you do qualify for TIA, you receive a designation. You are going to be receiving lots of money from the state because not only have you been identified as an excellent teacher, but your students are producing the results as well. And so that's really the whole point of this, is not to get anybody or to try to do anything like that whatsoever. It's truly a continuous growth measure because of TIA and the ability to access more monies for you that goes directly into your pocket and rewards you, the teacher, for all the work that you've done.
So it's okay then for our growth to look funky this year, but based off star last year, star this year, it
Kinda
just
want it to
gives
be that
us,
way.
okay.
You wanted to.
Okay.
You almost want it to
Because I'm
be
like,
that way.
oh, Lord.
So
Okay.
here's also for math, right? That's what we're gonna,
So I have two more questions. So
Yeah.
first,
Start me with the first one.
first is so you mentioned some depending on what you teach, it may be measured differently. What if you teach both star and non-star? So like, are you gonna be measured like twice or like?
You'll just be measured through the star,
Okay.
but your rating will more than likely come from that star, knowing that you've got other things where maybe we do an observation or do a walkthrough real quick in a different, a non-star class, just to kind of give you a different look, or for us to have a different look at you, but for you to also receive different feedback that may not be star related. And so that's just strategy that your appraiser can have a conversation with you about so that y'all can work that out. Okay. Because that's one thing I do want y'all to know, like, this is a two-way conversation between you and the appraiser that's been assigned to you. Feel free to have those conversations. Ask the questions. The more you know, the better position you'll be in to meet those expectations, even though 95% of the expectations will be the same across the board. Hence the reason why we're going to be doing all these calibration trainings to ensure that everybody's on the same page, right? Doesn't matter what campus, what subject, what area. It just so happens that TIA is bringing this into focus, and that initial group of teachers will be that focus, okay? But everybody's still going to go through the same thing. Yes?
So is this TIA designation going to be like public knowledge?
Yes.
Everyone's going to know on your campus that, oh,
Yes.
you didn't make it.
Yes.
Yes?
I think there's more
Well,
than
I would like to think about it the other way, that you did make it.
Yes, but I mean, you always think of the underdog because my little heart lies with my little underdogs,
Well, here's the deal with this. I don't want it to be thought of any differently. This is all about student growth.
Right.
Where you start, where you finish. So even if you start at ground zero, and zero means I know nothing, if you grow and demonstrate you know something, even though you don't know everything, that's significant because it's all about growth. Which is why special education has a wonderful opportunity, because it's not about competing against the AP, the dual credits, the GT students, where they're already starting up here. In fact, it's actually harder to grow those students because they're already at a certain point. There has to be a specific focus to get them to be at another level, right? So if you want to look at it like that, it's almost like, wow, it actually might be a little bit harder to be a GT teacher because they're already here.
Yes, it is.
But that's the thing, like, you'll know how to target your students to grow them because we'll work with you and the data will tell you what to do.
So as far as, of course, with the new curriculum, I know, for instance, me personally, I'm just trying to get the content out.
Yep.
I know I'm not hitting a lot of these fabulous marks. So where does training come in beyond? Like, I know right now we have ESC to help us like with the actual curriculum, but where's training going to come in to make what we're doing better to hit those marks?
After all the appraisers go through their calibration training. So once that happens, September, a little bit into October, November and December is when you'll kind of start receiving communication from all appraisers about their expectations, their kind of walkthrough and just evaluation kind of timelines. And so you'll know from then kind of what that will look like for you. Because again, a lot of this is all new. This is new for all of us too. So when we say teacher incentive allotment, that's new for me, that's new for them, that's new for everybody here. So that's just us taking more time to get set up, get calibrated so that we do this right. Meaning when we do this right, we will make sure that it's done right for you in the classroom. That's the goal. Because if not, then this is all for nothing. And I'd hate for all this time to be wasted, because at the end of the day, it's really about making sure you all are taken care of, continuously improved in your practice, but also rewarded for all the efforts and the things that you do to help students do awesome on the state assessment. And so this is just a kind of glimpse into some of the things that we are currently working on and planning. These descriptors, again, will help us calibrate. Every single descriptor domain has this type of four-square rubric where we will use these to help calibrate what we see. And so if we don't see it, or if there are things missing, then that becomes a conversation of, is this teacher proficient at this level based on the evidence that we saw? Okay? So for instance, looking at what teachers do and say, and then of course what students say and do. And so again, this year is again about data capture. This is just a draft. We're still working out the dates, but again, as soon as everything's finalized, everything will be communicated. Any other questions about the state of the district? Beginning of the year updates. Hopefully it's not anything too scary or ominous, but it actually should be really exciting because TI is going to be a really great thing. If you are a good teacher, you have nothing to worry about. Don't overthink this. It's like we're all like the bookworms where we're like overanalyzing everything and we're like psyching ourselves out. If you are a good teacher and you've been good and have done well and you know what you're doing and you're confident, this is just going to be another thing. It's no big deal.
I think if you worry, it's proof that you're a good teacher. Because you care.
You think so? Right.
Thanks, Sarah.
The worry, yeah, don't get the worry confused with the care factor. Because as you know, I was the same way as a teacher. I truly cared every time somebody came in my room. In fact, I just thought every single day, every single time I taught, there was somebody coming in right behind me, which meant I needed to make sure everything I was doing at all times was, you know, not just on par, but at the level where if someone did come in, I would be okay with what they would say to me. Because every now and then, it's easy to kind of take a period off, take a day off. Some of us take weeks off.
Not with Eureka, sir. Can't skip anything.
There you go.
Anything.
No more time
Nothing
off,
skipped.
right? But you'd be surprised that as an effective teacher yourself, if you were to remove yourself and just kind of transport yourself throughout the building, what you may or may not see. And some of the surprises that you would find if you were kind of given that opportunity. Because you think about teaching the way you teach, right? Meaning, surely everybody kind of looks at it and does it the way I do it, but you'd be surprised. In fact, you'd be really surprised, and not in a good way, unfortunately. So HQIM helps level that playing field, helps us increase those expectations for everybody so that we're all under the same page, shared understanding, can work off those same shared understandings. And it's just a really good thing because eventually maybe we will get back to having a more structured way of doing PLC, where PLC really becomes that kind of meant to be focus where we get together as that team and can work through some of the things that the PLC is really designed and meant to do for teachers. Anything else? All right, Ms. Botchick, how you feeling?
Excited.
I can tell.
So excited. Like,
She's got that high school excited face going right now where it's just like, oh my God, put me out of my misery.
no, I'm not worried about TIA. I'm not worried. I don't know the word I need. We're testing in December. So that's the data we're gonna use?
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
Because maybe not. That's more MOY. That's something that we'll kind of have to work through a little bit, but that's something I'm still kind of needing to get after. I have a webinar, and I'll just tell you, I have a technical call about some of those things next week during intercession when I can just focus a little bit more on just that. But I got you. I've been thinking about it. I've been praying on it. I've been losing a little bit of sleep, but I got a plan because I've got a meeting, and I have no doubt in this meeting, all my answers or all my questions will be provided with answers. Because that's how all meetings work, right? You go, you show up, and boom, you walk out, and everything's better. There you go.
I'm super excited.
There we go. All right. So one thing I do want to talk about is the ESSA application. And when we say ESSA, that means our title, our federal budgets. And the three big ones that we build into the application are 211 Title I, which is kind of meant for supplies, materials, things that are enhancing what are already being provided at the campus level. 255 Title II, that is professional development. That's contracted services, that's supports, that's growth and helping teachers learn and improve. that's all that's focused on. 289, that's more of the social and emotional. That is more of the counselor. That is more of the safety and security, those types of items. So each budget kind of has its own intent, and we do expend the budgets according to how the campuses, and particularly the campus principal, would like to expend that budget. Because again, those budgets don't rest at the district level. That is a big, kind of like a big picture where the district receives X amount of dollars, and then that is split funded to the campuses according to a per pupil ratio. Meaning each campus is given their share based on the percentage of eco-dis students they have on their campus. And so the higher the percentage of eco-dis students on a campus, the more money is shared with them because of that. Lower percentage, lower share. And so generally speaking, our population percentages stay the same year to year, give or take a little bit of normal variance, but generally speaking, the money share is the same every year. Does that make sense? What I can say about these budgets, kind of like what Mr. Van Matry was already saying, things are going to be pretty tight because of some of the big commitments we've made. For instance, HQIM. What was mentioned about HQIM was we have ESC supporting us through a contracted service where they're coming routinely and on a cadence and providing support on a consistent level. What is it, weekly, monthly? Weekly. So if you're providing technical assistance weekly and you add up all the weeks and you look at it from the course of a year, what do you think that will cost? It's not cheap, right? If you've ever been to a professional development or a conference for 1 day or 3 days, have you kind of looked at the numbers to see what that has, what that charges and what that costs? Apply that for the entire year. And you do that 2 or 3 times and boom, before you know it, the budget is like that. And so that is some of the things that we will be working through this year in order to be in a better position in 24, 25, to have more flexibilities to do some things that we're maybe used to doing in the past, but unfortunately for this year, we're not going to be able to do. And so one thing I will come out and say is the employee travel, there really isn't going to be employee travel this year. So if there is a conference or something you're wanting to attend or something you're used to attending year to year, it's really important that you speak with your principal or whoever is approving your travel to see what the plan is for that. If you are unsure, I would kind of caution you to be on the side of it's not going to happen until someone tells you or you ask and learn that it will happen. Just because, like I said, a lot of the money's already committed for this year. And so one thing I would like to kind of also share, and this will go out after September 1st, is just kind of the new travel guidelines that we're going to be implementing. And again, just trying to be more transparent and clear with what we do at the district level so that you not only have a better idea of what we expect, but this should help you plan and do the things that you need to do to get ready to travel. Like, for instance, before you travel with this checklist here, and then after you travel, and some of the things you should be doing when you return.
Can I ask a question about this?
Yeah.
I heard
What'd you hear?
through the grapevine
Yeah, I love
that
that.
we are going
I love when we start the conversation like that.
that we are going to be required to upfront pay all of our costs, and then the district would reimburse us. So, like, for example, there's one conference every year for ag teachers.
Yeah.
So for
Generally speaking, it's
me,
like that for everybody, but yeah.
but like to go and pay for a hotel and everything upfront out of pocket would probably mean I would not be going to that professional development anymore.
So here's how this works. Did they tell you that your reimbursement check will be with you at the time that you went?
No.
So
It was basically like
the good
you'll
stuff. The good
turn
stuff
it in
was
when you
left
get
out.
back.
Let me fill in all the good stuff that you didn't get. So one thing I will say about my time in TM, we're really good with the what do we call it?
We get the bad news, but not
Through
always.
the grapevine?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for some reason, though, the grapevine only travels the bad news.
Yes.
It never picks up the good stuff. So with the way we're kind of moving forward in the future is that, yes, the traveler, the requester will be paying that up front, the hotel, not necessarily the conference, but like the hotel and the travel. But as long as you turn in everything at the time we need it to be turned in, which is generally 21 days prior, and because of conferences that are year to year and that are already scheduled out, you pretty much know when that's happening. It's really on you, the traveler, to make sure all your paperwork is turned in way in advance so that reimbursement checks can be issued. And so you will get that check upon you needing to make payment. So it's almost like happening at the same time, where it goes on your credit card so that you remain in control of just your hotel experience. You can check your records. You're not relying on anybody for that. Because if there's an issue, we then have to get involved and we're not there, and it's almost impossible for us to fix anything if there is an issue. Giving you the power to have all that means that if there is an issue, you can fix that, but the reimbursement check will be hitting your bank as soon as it needs to be for payment to be taken out.
So does
Does
that
that
mean
make
we would
sense?
be making our own travel arrangements at that point and we wouldn't have to?
Technically. But some of us may see that as a benefit to say, yes, I do want the power to control and to be able to input all that. However, I see some faces here, like my face. I'm like, okay, where's my wife? I need help with my arrangements because she's really good at that stuff. Like she can work all the Trivago stuff like I've never seen.
We had issues in our conference during the summer where the credit card was declined from school.
Yeah.
And so we had, luckily somebody answered the phone and we were there for a good while. And they gave us the key and we're like,
yeah,
like just trust us, okay, it's gonna get paid. So yeah, we did have issues.
They were like, literally, you're a teacher, I think we can trust you, here's your room key, was the exact words that happened, like an hour later. Yes.
Well, I will say that based on kind of some of the experiences, that is some of the reasons why we're making that change. Because if that does happen, we're not there. And God forbid you can't get a hold of somebody, then what happens?
Yeah, we're very lucky.
Right, and then it just relies on luck, and well, sometimes it's great to be lucky, but what happens when you don't have that luck on your side? This prevents that. The only hitch would be making sure you turn in everything in advance so that we can issue you the full reimbursement check so that there is no like staggering happening with your bank account where you're now waiting 3 days to make up the difference. It's all gonna happen at the same time. So basically, it's like reverse payment. Does that make sense? And for those that don't like setting up travel or anything like that, trust me, there are plenty of people on campus or even my office. We will assist in any way we can to set all that up for you guys. That's no big deal. That's the easy part. So those are just some of the things that will be coming down this year and changing. But like I said, because travel will be limited, a lot of us won't be able to get to experience the new way, but if you do, that's how it'll work, okay? Any questions on that? No? Okay. About 5 more minutes, I promise we're almost done. Real quick, since I know you guys probably spent a whole bunch of time reviewing this document, going through it, penning it up, drawing lines through it, adding a whole bunch of cool stuff. If there is anything that you guys have to add to our current PFE policy at the district level, please let me know. Does anybody have anything other than their doodles on the sides like I like to do on my documents? Just doodles, just some color. You can add some color. Is there anything here that does stand out? This is just a general document. We can make this very specific or we can kind of keep it as it is. It's really up to the committee's decision as far as how they kind of want the information to be presented and to read. Just know too that each campus that's titled also has a campus PFE policy, which operates and moves through the SBDM. So same practice, right? District level, district PFE policy. So feel free to take some minutes to kind of just flip through this, peruse it. If you do see something you're wanting to add or change, I'd say the next 5 minutes, let me know. No pressure, no pressure.
And this is only for like the Title I, right?
Correct. But because the district's Title I, it kind of applies to everybody, even though campus-specific ACC is not Title I this year.
Yeah.
And just so you know, this is the Title I committee. DEIC acts as our Title I committee. Yeah, I always am told that it's impossible to have a PTO or PTA at the high school.
It's hard.
I know.
Yeah,
It is- it is.
I mean, at open house, I had 6 people, so.
Yeah, no, I get it.
That's why we're not pursuing it on the middle school campus.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a thought.
Yeah, I'm sure it was, it was fleeting, right? Like it happened and yeah.
I think
'Cause I'll
people
be honest, I've tried that in the past and I have had no success.
And actually, the further that you go up from the primary as you
Yes,
go up,
it's
it gets less and less, yeah.
And I'm sure there's a reason for that, but.
The older they get, the less involved they are. You know what I mean?
that's-
It's like, it's cute when they're in kindergarten.
Yeah.
And they're doing their Christmas program.
They all go to that.
It is like that across the nation.
Couldn't imagine
But that's the thing, you would think it'd almost be the opposite, because as they get older, it's more complex and complicated. It's like, surely you would think at some level the parents would want to be more involved to know, like, what is this college and career stuff, and how is all this working with FAFSA and just.
Well, and the parents don't understand like graduation requirements and the like.
There's
for,
just a lot.
My pathway, for example, the kids have to have 4 maths and 4 sciences to graduate on my pathway. And they don't understand that.
No, it's a lot. And having a parent group where that information gets to flow through is important.
I'll get the parents to go.
I mean, we're accountable. And it's all different.
I have a 25-year-old son graduated in 2017. It's changed since then. I got a senior this year. And we're just like, they put him in college president. I'm like, pre-cal last year and I had an A. So, how can you go take an actual college class? What's your college prep It's like college prep English? Yeah, sure. Go ahead, buddy. You need it.
And that's funny you say that, because as soon as we feel like we're getting really good with knowing things and being on top of stuff, then it changes. Like as soon as you get your hand on it and you've got it, they rip it from you.
That's how I feel about this. It needs the year needs to be updated. Yes, I had everything geared. We were doing grades, scores, yes, and then it was like, we're gonna change it. Now you gotta redo all of your stuff.
High school, well, it says 22, 23 on this one, but it
And then it
says
says school year 2020, 2021.
Good catch, mistakes made everywhere.
What has happened at the high school?
So they're not even the same.
Are you saying that our PFE policy needs some work? So I'll be honest, this has just been carried over.
No, I mean, I think it sounds okay.
But as you can tell, maybe we need to carry it over a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, I think the content sounds okay, but
Yeah, just
just
cleaning
to
up the
make sure that
dates.
you're at least, yeah.
That can be done. But did you see anything that like any of the meat of it needs to be different or added to?
It's kind of similar to the things we've already been designing, so.
Yeah.
Because ideally, we're supposed to be kind of following what we're saying, doing. All right, everybody, we got 5 more minutes. We ready to kind of bring it back in and close this out? Okay. Other than pointing out a few little errors that need to be corrected, like years and just titles and some other things that have changed, so those easy updates will be made. Does anybody have any like actual content that they'd like to see done differently or added to or changed? Now's your time to speak your piece. If not,
Incredible job.
incredible job.
Should they find them?
All right. Pretty quiet, so I'm gonna assume that everything is good and that there is no need to add or do anything different.
That's wonderful.
So are we good with making everything updated to reflect 23-24 with no major changes? Okay. Because I'm going to make sure that this gets into Spanish, and as soon as it's in Spanish, no more changes.
Google Docs.
Yeah, no, I've gotten much better at that. If you've ever needed to translate something quick, really flip it into a Google Doc and hit the translate button. Generally speaking, it's like 95% like on point with the translation. And it's completely free. Because I think translation services, I think they charge between $200 to $500 a document. Yeah.
It's no longer offering.
Technically, you have to, that's the whole TELPAS thing.
She writes all of that stuff. If I'm translating for her, she did that on our
She'll probably end up still take STAR, but that will be where TELPAS will capture her on TELPAS. All right, guys, 3 more minutes. If we're good, remember, next meeting is September 28th. We will focus on 2 things and maybe a few others that will get added along the way. But the 2 big things for next meeting will be review of the accountability ratings by district, by campus, and then kind of reviewing the district improvement plan. That will be also brought to the board in September for approval. Okay? So that's what the meeting about in September will focus on. Other than that, if everybody's ready, all right, guys, you are allowed to leave.
It's been longer than 20 minutes.
Okay.